Welcome to Love Talk. The purpose of Love Talk is to really clarify some of the relationship issues that people have, not only in their romantic relationships, but in families, in workers, with workers and employees, employers, and also with our brothers and sisters and friendship relationships. So it really is about how do you see yourself? How do you relate to yourself in the world of relationships? How do you manage yourself inside of that? And I believe that where most people have the biggest problems in relationships, for the most part, we sort of get along with our brothers and sisters pretty well. We get along with our parents more or less well, depending upon the model of relationships that they grew up in. The model of relationships of the family environment that they've grown up in will give you the model of relationships that you have evolved in your own lifetime. For the most part, most people tend to relate to their boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, marriage partners in the same type of model that they've seen in their family relationships. If those family relationships didn't work so well, it's predictable that those relationships will end up having some of the same issues and the same problems, recycling themselves over and over again, trying things, trying new things, trying to find ways to work on things that are inefficient or ineffective. What I'm here to talk to you about today is to begin to describe some of the relationship models that work and some that don't work. I have calls that are already coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and take some calls. Thanks. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi, Mr. Morgan. First
how are
of all,
you?
I want to say thank you very much for your beautiful program, your program, your wife program. I'm always sitting and watching your show, and I learn a lot from your show. My question is about my son.
Okay.
I am a single mom, and my son, I have just one child. He's 18.
Okay.
He's really bright, wonderful, excellent student.
Yes.
He's in pre-med school, and his scholarship is really enough for him if he wants to live normally. My problem with him is he is burning the money, overspending, doesn't appreciate of anything, and financially, like a lot of people right now, I'm under pressure financially, and he knows that. I told him to please manage your life, and he thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't listen, he doesn't appreciate, just spending. For example, on August, when he starts school, because he's an excellent student, he wants me to buy an iPhone for him. I bought it, and I told him, you have to pay the payment, monthly payment.
Okay.
He promised me. And sometimes he asks me if I can, for example, deposit $100 for him. I did it, and he called me and thanked me, and he said, I pay my bill. After 3 months, I had a phone call from his company because the telephone was by my name, and I find out she didn't pay at all. They sent me a bill for $450 something. And I told him, I disconnected the phone.
Good.
And I told him,
that's
how
appropriate.
come you didn't pay? And he said, well, but that was by your name, and I didn't pay it. I didn't have money.
Right.
Anyway, later on, he asked me to buy a phone for him. I told him, no, I'm not going to do that. One time I did it, and you didn't act responsible. That's why I'm not going to buy a phone for you by my name. You have to learn how you have to live.
Sounds like you're doing your best to show him that there is consequences if you don't act responsibly. Somewhere in being raised by you, and it sounds like, first of all, you've done an excellent job as a single mom, raising a son for however many years it was, but he's 18 now and he's got a scholarship to college, so that means he was a pretty good student or he wouldn't have gotten a scholarship, yes?
Yes.
It sounds like you've done a great job of raising your son by yourself, and I was acknowledging you and congratulating you for the great job that you've done. It also sounds like you probably along the way, given that he was your only child, and have probably not done the best job in teaching him how to be responsible financially, and that's something that it's about time for him to learn. It would have been better if he'd have learned it before he went to college, but now it's time for him to learn that, yes? And so you bought him a phone. He didn't pay for the phone like he was supposed to. What's appropriate is that his phone gets shut off, just like you, just like me. I don't pay the bill, they shut off my phone. They send me a few notices, and then they'll shut my phone off, just like they will yours. He needs to learn that. I'm sure that you're offering some kind of support as far as, helping him with school or whatever, but I think that it needs to be a definite budget that you deposit into an account, and when it's gone, it's gone. If he uses it up drinking and going out or partying or spending it on whatever he spends it on, and then he doesn't have enough money for food, that is appropriate. You need to understand now, as a mother, you got your job done. He's 18 years old. He's not quite a man, but he's not a boy anymore. So he's a young adult, and he's on his own, and that requires a certain level of responsibility. You cannot keep him from learning his lessons I don't recommend that you keep him from learning his lessons by continuing to cover for or pay for his mistakes or his errors in judgment. So what's appropriate is that you give him whatever amount of money that you agree on, and I think that it should be lean and sparse, given that he has more than enough money to pay for his scholarship. So support him in whatever way you feel is appropriate, and then limit it to that. That's it. He needs to know that he's got $500 a month or whatever it is that he can spend on a few things, and when that money runs out, it is definitely gone. Just like anybody else has a paycheck or anything else that they do, we have a certain amount of money to live on unless we're an entrepreneur and we find ways to make money. He's in school. I recommend that you limit his funds, that you don't fold into every time he needs more money. Okay, did you get that?
No, still I have a question. My question is, Mr. Morgan, my question is, on January, he came here, and after 2 weeks, after he tried to control me, he tried to decide for me. I didn't let him to do that. He said, so if you don't pay me money, I'm leaving you. Right away, I told him that's okay. And he said, inside I was crashed, but I tried to stay strong. I said, that's okay. And he told me, maybe I never come back to visit you again. I said, that's fine. I don't want you to come back with this behavior.
Good for you.
And he left. Now I want to know, my question is right now, what I have to act? Do I have to look for him? Do I have to call him? He doesn't have a phone. One time I called him and I left a message. He didn't respond to me. I'm afraid if I don't look for him, maybe he never come back to me.
That's not true. He will. Okay? You've not done anything wrong. You've been a great mom. Here's the thing that's hurtful about this is that he's attempting to hold your love hostage. Like, I'm going to give you love for money. And I don't know where he learned that behavior, but he might have learned it from you. You got to look at yourself and see, where do you get this kind of behavior? That's unusual behavior. If you don't give me money, I'm going to withdraw my love from you. That's the lowest form of prostitution, if you will. Because at least in prostitution, classical prostitution, it's exchange of sex for money. But this is about love. This is a mother and a son, And so that kind of relationship, I think you should teach him with your actions that doesn't fly around here. I don't accept that. If your choice is to actually leave because I'm not giving you enough money, I consider that I've gotten my job done and you're on your own. And I would withdraw all money from him, if that's the case.
So I didn't. I am not giving him any money. That's why he doesn't contact me. And when I try to call him, even by his friend, he doesn't respond to my phone. So what I have to do I have to look for him or no? I give him a time to think about it and learn.
That's it. I know that you love him, and I know that it's extremely painful for you. So I would look for support amongst your family and friends, but don't go looking for him, because then he will have won that battle. Do you understand? And this is a battle. This is a battle. You can't afford to have him win. Do you know what I mean? Not because it would cost you money, but because it would cost you his nobility, his dignity, his self-discipline, his sense of becoming a man. There's a very important stage that men have to go through Every man needs to go through this, and unfortunately, a lot of men do not. So I'm going to tell you what that is, because he's at that perfect age, 18 to 20-something, where men need to do this, what I'm about to say. So listen very carefully. Men need to separate from their mother and become a man. There's a stage where they're no longer mama's boy, and they have to, in order to become self-respecting, in order to earn the right to have a woman in their life that they care for, in order to learn that they can care for their own life and that their life is in their hands, and they alone are not only responsible for their own life, but that is the access to, that is a necessary step, knowing that you're responsible for your own life and that you can be counted on to feed yourself, take care of yourself, get what you need. That is a necessary step for every man, and he can't do it when his mommy's paying for his stuff. Okay, he can't get there. It's a way that a lot of parents keep their children from ever becoming adults. It's particularly men. And so a man has to get to this place where he says, I'm actually standing on my own. I pay my own bills, I have my own car, I pay my own insurance, I have all my stuff together, and I alone am accountable for it. Yay. Then he feels strong. And then and only then could he ever even consider taking care of another person, like a woman or a child. It's a necessary step for men. And, you know, when I counsel men, the men that I work with in my workshops and in my counseling and in my private practice, is I teach them, please do this as respectfully and as firmly and as cleanly as possible. In other words, it doesn't have to be in a painful event. It's always painful for the mother, and it's somewhat painful for the son. But it's a necessary separation so that then he can come back to the mother and go, Mom, you treated me great. You got your job done. I'm so proud of myself. I'm proud of you. You're an excellent woman. Thank you. I've made all this money. Can I buy you a house or a car? Can I take you out to dinner? Or whatever his level of wanting to give back to his mother is. But there's a time where a man wants to give back to his mother out of love and respect and adoration for all the years of care that she did. Whether she needs it financially or not, he wants to. He'll never get there.
If I don't call him or I don't look for him, he thinks nobody loves him.
Yeah, that's a game he's playing. He knows better. He knows better. Is there any reason for him to think that?
No.
No, so he doesn't. He doesn't. Don't believe it. That's just what he's saying. Nobody loves me. No, nobody pays me. That's what he's really saying.
Yes, yes. Mr. Morgan, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for watching my show, and thanks for being a great mom.
I cannot say thanks enough. Thank you.
Yeah. Just let him go. He'll come back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air, and I see you've been waiting for a while, so thanks for doing that.
Hello, doctor.
Hi, how are you?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your very beautiful program.
Thank you.
My major problem is that I'm used to compare myself to very attractive and pretty girls and beautiful girls, and after that I feel really desperate. This is my major problem. I feel jealous of my little sister, who is 10 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And many people, many friends and relatives tell me that she looks more beautiful than you do. You know, I really feel desperate, and this problem is bothering me for about 3 and 4 years. What can I do?
Well, there's some work to, thank you for calling, and thanks for your question. And there is some work that you need to do on your own about your own self-esteem. Obviously, first of all, anytime you're comparing yourself, anybody or anything, it's never going to be a winning proposition unless you go around comparing yourself to people who are obviously less than you, less smart, less educated, less pretty, less rich, whatever you're comparing. There's people that go around doing that, and then they get a false sense of ego. But there's something that you're really missing here, and it's so important, and it's right in front of you, but you can't see it. Okay? And so I'm going to say a few things to help point you in that direction, and then you need to do some work either with a counselor or a coach, or, you know, it's sometimes difficult to get to this on your own from where you're at. Okay? There is a part of you that is so wise and so beautiful and so precious and so full of love that has always been there. This part of you has true and lasting value. This part of you came into this world to make a difference and has a gift that nobody else has. I know when I say these words, they resonate somewhere in your heart, that you recognize them as truth. Do you hear that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, everybody knows this about themselves, but then we forget and we start looking in the mirror out there like, well, how's my hair and how's my teeth and you know, am I big enough or strong enough or pretty enough or whatever, right? And we get involved with the reflection in the mirror. We get involved with how does it look? And I realize that how it looks is very important, especially for women, because men kind of look and appreciate women with their eyes, yes? So how you look would certainly be of importance to you. It is of minor significance compared to who you truly are. And I can tell you as a man that what men fall in love with, what they maybe are attracted by the eyes, but what we fall in love with, what men stick around for, what men marry, is a woman's authenticity, her virtue, her goodness, like if she real or is she just some phony, made-up, pretty girl that is empty inside. So I urge you to do some work on finding your own self-worth, finding your own purpose, finding your own truth. And then I'm sure you're a fine-looking woman. You know, I'm sure you're a beautiful woman. Has anybody ever said you're not?
Yeah, many people say that I am beautiful too.
You invalidate that, right? I'm not as beautiful as her. Yeah, people say that I'm a good-looking man, but I'm not like Brad Pitt, you know? So if I went around comparing myself to Brad Pitt or George Clooney or some of these guys that are like super handsome, you know, and then made myself feel bad about that, can you see how ridiculous that would be for me?
This is what I do.
That would be a waste of my life.
This is what I do. I always compare myself to Miss Beauty.
Yeah, it's silly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but
when you get in touch with what you're really about, it's like silly. Who cares what you look like? I'm pretty enough that people don't gasp whenever I walk into the room, right? First of all, I want you to have my voice in your head the next time you do that. Stop comparing yourself. Stop comparing yourself. Only look at your own true inner value, and then do whatever you need to do. Get your hair done, wear makeup, you know, do whatever it is that you need to do to feel good about yourself. But, you know, you should be glad if your sister's prettier, you know, especially if she's 10 years younger. She's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing, you know. I got brothers that are prettier than me, you know. I don't go around worrying about it. You know, I got a brother that's very handsome, you know, and I remember when I was a kid, it's like, look at him, man, he's the best looking kid in this family. And I thought he was great. And he had 6 sons, and they're all super handsome. And I'm happy about that. It has no reflection on me whatsoever. I'm just happy for them.
You know, in some family gatherings, many people, especially my father does that. Many people say that, look, this is my younger sister is beautiful, more beautiful than my elder sister. And this really makes me feel desperate. My father compares, and when my father says
your father needs to get a clue.
The best answer for such remark.
Well, when it's made in public like that, and there's, you know, you don't want to be reproaching your father publicly, maybe the best you can do is just laugh about it, okay? Get a sense of humor.
I couldn't hear you.
I said,
what about it?
The best thing that you could do is get a sense of humor about it, because what he's doing is, while it's, you know, you could take offense and say, okay, he's being rude, he's being publicly disrespectful or publicly insulting even. You could say that, or you could just go, you know, Dad, cut it out. You know, but I would go to him in private and I'd say, Dad, I want to talk to you about something. There's this thing that you do and it hurts my feelings. It publicly embarrasses me, and I don't know why you would want to do that. Have I done something that makes you want to hurt my feelings? Because you do. Every time you say, oh, look at my younger daughter, she's so much prettier than my older daughter. Why would you do that? She's pretty, I'm pretty. Quit comparing, because it hurts my feelings. It sounds like you're trying to embarrass me or hurt my feelings when you do that. So would you please not do that? And then listen to what he says. You know, maybe he'll apologize, maybe he'll blow it off and make it into a joke, but at least you've had what I would call enough self-respect, enough self-value to go and speak your mind. Yes?
Yeah.
You know, it takes a person that values themselves to go speak up to somebody that they respect and they look up to and say, hey, that thing you do, please don't do that. That's you know, that hurts my feeling. I don't like it. Don't do that. It's not necessary. You know, what's your point? Why would you do that? And then find out what he says. You know, maybe he didn't even realize he was doing it. Maybe it's just a dumb thing that guys do. Sometimes guys do stupid things and we don't even know we're doing it. I've had my wife point out plenty of things that I've done publicly. I said, oh, really? I didn't notice I did that, whatever it was, said something that was embarrassing to her. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I didn't know I even said something like that. That's really dumb. I won't do that anymore, you know?
Yes. Doctor, my other problem is that I cannot tolerate when I see my father cheats on my mother. Although they are not divorced, but my father always cheats on my mother. I feel
Wait a minute, they're divorced?
Girlfriends of
Wait.
my father.
What
can I do to solve this problem in myself?
Wait. Your father is divorced from your mother?
No, they are not divorced, but their relationship has ended up to some extent. You know, for 10 years, they are not being speaking together.
But they live in the same house?
They stay in the same house, yes.
And they're married by law?
Yeah, they are married by law.
Well, then he is cheating on her.
Pardon?
Then he is cheating on her.
Yeah.
Have you ever told him how that makes you feel?
Yeah, I have always told my father. I have written lots of letters to my father, but my father just says that this is your fantasy. These are just stories that you make. I cannot tolerate. I know this is my mother's problem and my father's problem.
Well,
but
yes.
It really tortures me.
Well, it is, and it is their problem. Ultimately, it is their marriage. It's their problem. It's their issue. It's not up to you to try to clear up any of their marital problems, but you have a relationship with your father. You're his daughter. You're an adult. You have a public persona that is tied and related to your family and to your family's reputation and to your father thereby. Yes?
Yeah.
And so it may be publicly embarrassing for you that your father behaves in a less than dignified manner around other women, and that it causes some embarrassment to you. Is that true?
And of course, I'm really afraid to show my friends, to introduce my friends to my father, because my father may fall in love with my friend.
He sounds like a pretty disgusting guy, if I may say so. Okay.
Yeah,
he sounds like a pretty
I love my father.
disrespectful.
On the other hand, I can't tolerate how he behaves.
Yeah, I know that you love him, and you ought to. I'm just saying that his behavior is disrespectful and is not something that you need to tolerate. You know, I don't think you should tolerate it. Okay, I think you should tell him, as long as you're behaving like that, I don't know if I want to have you around in my life, and I don't introduce my friends to you because I don't trust you as a man. You're an untrustworthy man. And so what I'm learning from you as a daughter is that my father is an untrustworthy man. And I want you to know that it affects my ability to have respect for you and to have respect for other men as well. Has this affected your relationships with other men?
And yeah, it really has some effect, has affected my relationship. You know, I'm 27, but I have never ever had a boyfriend because I distrust men. I don't trust in men.
Well, no wonder. Look who you grew up with. Look at the example of manhood that has been shown to you in your family.
And what can I do? I'm 27, and I have never ever dated a man. What can I do to solve my problem?
Well, you do. Listen. You do need to maybe go and have a few sessions of therapy, okay? And it's not that there's anything wrong with you, so don't get me wrong, okay? When I tell somebody they need therapy, I don't mean, oh, you're sick or messed up or you've got a problem. I mean that you're a normal, healthy person who has some very challenging circumstances, and you don't have the tools to deal with it. Nobody has ever given you the tools to deal with a difficult circumstance. You understand? It's like it's as if look, it's as if I took you it's as if I wanted to teach you to drive, but the car that I took you to learn to drive in, the brakes didn't work very well, and when you turn the wheel this way, the wheels go that way. And so you had to do everything kind of backwards, and when you accelerated, it didn't really go fast, and the lights didn't work, and so it's as if I tried to teach you to drive so that you could move about through life in a vehicle that didn't function properly. So there's no fault on your part. You've just been raised in a dysfunctional family by a dysfunctional father. And so it's only normal that your relationship to men would be dysfunctional. You understand that? That's what a normal person would do, is have a dysfunctional relationship like their parents, or modeled after the what they've learned. So when I say you should go have some therapy, and more precisely, like if you want to get this done quickly, I highly recommend a workshop that my wife does called the Women Only Workshop, which is exactly addressed at this precise type of phenomenon, where women begin to claim their power back, become the woman that they have always wanted to be, have powerful relationships with men. And by powerful, I don't mean dominating men. I mean becoming the wonderful, attractive, lovely, strong, intelligent, beautiful women that men love to be around. Men love to serve. Men love to be loyal to. Men are looking for women like that. And you know what? If they don't find it at home, they'll go find it somewhere else. They're looking for beautiful, wonderful, attractive, loving women that they can respect and cherish and honor and take care of. Men really do want that. Whether they realize it or not, that's what they're looking for. As a partner, as somebody to share their life with. There's no training really in the world that has been reliable in producing that result. And this workshop is a reliable source of that training.
Yeah.
The 12 Stages of a Romantic Relationship, one of my CDs, all of our seminars and workshops. The workshops that I do for men are about teaching men to have honor and integrity and to master those distinctions, to live their life as a master of honor and integrity, and to be a warrior for what is right in life.
I called your office to order the CDs and the books.
Okay.
But the secretaries told me that because you live in Iran, they may get lost. And that's why I couldn't order
Well,
them.
if you live in Iran, yes, that's true. We have to tell people that when we ship our books and CDs and DVDs to Iran, we always ship them perfectly, like we said we would. But sometimes, once they get to Iran, we have no control over the Iranian post office, and neither do you, right?
Yeah.
Nobody has control over the Iranian post office. They do what they want. And if they want to open your package and take your stuff out or whatever, or not deliver it, that's up to them. I can't do anything about that. Do you see?
Yeah, that's my problem.
So
I'm
we've
really
shipped-
eager to get your CDs, but I
We've
don't know
shipped
what
a
to
lot
do.
of stuff, but every now and then, not often, but every now and then people say, hey, my package didn't come. Please send it again. And I'm like, well, how many times should I send it to you? You've already paid for it. I sent it, So it's a little difficult to do business that way when you send something and, if 1 out of 20 people doesn't get it, I said from now on, when people call, just let them know we're going to send it. But once it gets to Iran, it's up to the post office to deliver it, right? We have no control over that.
Doctor, my conclusion is that my father tries to hurt my feelings because I have criticized my father for his dirty relationship with other women.
Yep.
This is my conclusion. Do you agree with me?
Well, sounds like it. I mean, I haven't been there, but that's what it sounds like. I don't know why he would say something hurtful like that unless he's just stupid. If he's just like unconscious and not paying attention and he unintentionally hurt his daughter's feelings, that's one thing. If he's kind of being mean for some reason, then I have no idea. I would have to be there and know the man, you understand? So I don't want to pass judgment on somebody I've never met based on somebody who's obviously got their feelings hurt.
Thank you, Doctor. It was really out of this world talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for calling. It must be in the middle of the night in Iran.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Goodbye.
thank you. Bye. We are at a time in the world, both nationally and internationally, regardless of where you are, in which it is absolutely essential that people come to terms with, why am I here as an individual? Why are you here in this life as an individual? What is your purpose? What is your message? Why is it that you are attracted to the people that you're attracted to? What is it that you're supposed to leave as a future for the generations to come? And what is it that your generation as a culture, as a society, has to say to the world? What is it that you want to be known as once your life has passed? What is it that you want to contribute to the world? It's essential that we come to terms with this, and we cannot come to terms with this if we don't take the time to really look in our own hearts and resolve and heal the issues that have held us back or hindered us, and to bring our wholeness and completion into our relationships rather than trying to get in a relationship to try to fix something that's missing or broken in ourselves. All of this work, the work that I teach at Embrace Growth, is about meeting the challenges of your life in such a way that you pull those challenges to you embracing those challenges that make you question yourself, that make you have to look inside, that force you to make those changes that are so important, so fundamental, so that you can be clear, so that you can bring your clarity, you can bring your love, you can bring your spirituality, you can bring your health, you can bring your finances into the world and contribute them to your partnership, to your relationships, instead of getting married or trying to get in a relationship to needy because you feel needy or empty inside and you're trying to get something from the other person. Those relationships never last and they're always painful. I'm going to go ahead and take some calls.
I'm calling from New York. It's about my son that is going to be 18. He's a little, kind of fresh with me and very much into himself. Doesn't really share things like my daughter does.
Right.
I hear a lot of you annoying. What do you think this period is going to last for? How long?
Well, it will last as long as it takes for him to gather his power and to make the transition from being a boy to being a man. A boy, by my distinction, is somebody who feels that they not only expect but deserve and ought to have unconditional love. Not that they're going to give unconditional love, but they should receive unconditional love. See, from the time he was born, he's been like this precious child that mom and dad or whoever has always lit up every time they walked in the room, given them whatever they wanted, treated them special, and made them feel like a king. Now, did they do anything to deserve that? No. All they did was show up and be a boy. That's all they did. They just kind of showed up. Maybe they were the good boy, maybe they were the bad boy. It doesn't matter. You loved them unconditionally anyhow, right? You paid for him. You did whatever it took. If he broke something, you fixed it, whatever, right? If he lost something, you bought him another one. If he cried, you fixed him up. If he told a stupid joke, you laughed anyhow. In other words, he was like a little king in a little kingdom, receiving unconditional love that was unearned and undeserved just because he existed, all right? Now, that's how we love women. As men, women and children are lovable and adorable, cherishable, just because they exist. Just because they exist. But a man is different. When you become a man, you're not loved just because you exist. You better do something for yourself. You better go get a job. You better go make a difference in the world. You better have something to say that's intelligent and that makes a difference. You better take care of other people. In other words, to become a man means to earn your worth in the world. And love is no longer given to you unconditionally except by two entities, your mother and God. Those are the only two beings that are going to love you unconditionally if you're a man. Unless you have a codependent woman who will treat you as if you were her son and she'll mother you for the rest of your life. In which case you will resent her and mistreat her and disrespect her just like you did your mother. So this is a phase, and the best thing that you could do as a mother is to let him go. To let him go and become a young man. I've given you everything that I have to give you. I've taught you everything I've had to teach you. I trust you. You're smart. I empower you to go out and conquer the world and become the man you've always wanted to be. If you want my advice, ask for it because I'm done giving it. And same is true for my money, my support. I will always love you. I'm your mother. I can't help it, okay? But I'm not going to give you my advice. I'm not going to bother you. Just go out on your own. The only thing I demand, if you're going to live in my house and be treated like a boy by me, is that you treat me with respect. Otherwise, you lose that right. In other words, do you see there's conditions now? There's conditions. Before, I loved you no matter how you treated me, and I tolerated, put up with it, accepted. If a little kid throws a fit and says bad word, they're being a little kid, right? You're like, okay, don't do that. You're misbehaving, but you don't take your love away. You don't throw them out of the house. You don't tell them, okay, I'm not going to give you any food anymore. But if a man does that, it's appropriate as an adult woman to have boundaries and say, okay, the time for you behaving like that is over, and this is my boundary. You live in my house, you eat my food, you accept all of the signs of my loving and taking care of you, then I deserve and I request that you respect me. Now, there's three things you can do with a request. You can accept, okay, I accept your request. I will treat you with respect. You could decline. You could say, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to act any way I want, and I'm going to treat you however I want, and you can take it or leave it. Or you can make a counteroffer. I tell you what, I'm going to do my best to respect you, and if I ever do disrespect you, please tell me, and and I'll do my best to not do that. Okay? I'm going to really try not to do that, which is not really a counteroffer. That's like a weak commitment. Okay? It's really not a counteroffer. A demand is different than a request. If you make a demand, then there's consequences if you don't accept the demand. A demand goes like this. I demand that you treat me respectfully. And if you don't, there will be consequences, and here's what they are. I'll stop paying for your school. I'll stop cooking for you. Eventually, if it continues, I'll ask you to leave the house, I'll stop paying, you can't have the car anymore, whatever it is. There'll be consequences, and you have to be willing to deliver those consequences. Are you a single mother?
No, I'm not.
Okay, great. Where's his father in all this?
Suffering such a, just like myself.
Oh, so his father's putting up with the disrespect also?
Not as much as I do.
The father needs to talk to the son and be a father. You don't get to stop being a father, okay? You don't get to stop being a father just because your son gets big and hairy and independent, You go to your son and you say, son, this is my house. I'm the king around here, and if there's going to be any disrespect, it's going to be me disrespecting you, all right? But you're not going to disrespect me or your mother, understood? And if there is any disrespect, there's going to be consequences. You're going to have to deal with me, and I promise you, I will make it unpleasant. That's what a man would say to his son if he wanted to be a father to a boy that's getting a little out of hand. You have to, listen, they'll run right over the top of you, won't they? If you let him, he will run right over the top of you.
Absolutely.
He will just walk all over you. So you've got to you've got to make a deal at this point. You got to make a deal. Say, look, I understand that you're, a young man and that you're needing to express yourself as an independent young man and that you're somewhere between your boyhood and your manhood. And I understand that and I respect that. In ancient times and still today in many, many cultures across the world, and I've studied over 157 different cultures, okay, that I've looked into, most cultures have a ritual in which a boy is initiated into manhood, and it usually happens much earlier, like around 12, 13 years old, okay? And that's why there's bar mitzvahs and different rituals in different cultures, but the design of it is to recognize that boyhood is over and now this young man is on the path to manhood. It's a recognition of the fact that he has now started developing a testosterone reserve, and that testosterone will have him act in aggressive and non-social ways naturally. It doesn't mean he's a bad person. Testosterone will have you be sort of antisocial and aggressive, all right? And so ancient cultures, or cultures that initiate boys into manhood, knew that if they did not teach their young men, to become self-disciplined, respectful, noble, and have an outlet for their aggressiveness that was applauded, if you will, that was looked up to. That's what sports and all that stuff about. Sports are mock wars. If they didn't have something that they could be a hero at, that they could win and lose and express that aggressiveness that was then applauded and respected, that they would become toxic to society. And when I say toxic to society, I mean particularly toxic to women and to children as well. Okay? Young men, if they're not disciplined, will become toxic to society. If his father doesn't discipline him, he can become toxic to the household. And it sounds like he's already starting to do that a little bit.
It's not that bad, Okay. I know that it's a very temporary thing. I know that because he's a very good boy.
I'm sure he is. And I'm sure he's got great parents, but it does take a certain amount of rigor and discipline on the part of the man of the house. I would put that on his shoulders. Say, hey, talk to your son. He's getting out of line. Uh-huh. And he doesn't have to be tough on him, but he needs to be firm. Like, hey, this doesn't fly around here. You're going to be around here. You're going to talk respectfully. You're going to treat, if your mother talks to you, you answer her in a civil tone. And I don't want to hear anything else other than that. If I hear that if she comes to me telling me that you're treating her disrespectfully, then you and I are going to have a talk.
Right.
Okay? And you're going to explain to me why I shouldn't take the car keys away from you or whatever it is, right? It's not too late to train a young man to be honorable and respectful, and I promise you it will make a huge difference in how he raises his children and how he treats his wife and how he treats other people in the world, whether it's co-workers or just any woman or man that he meets on the street. It's part of being a parent is that it's not over until they're out of the house and on their own.
I hear you.
Yeah? Does this help you?
Absolutely.
Does it give you a place to...
also, what do I do about him driving fast?
Pray. Pray. I had a son that drove fast and I couldn't stop him. I mean, you can't do, what are you going to do? You can't be there when he's driving.
No, I can't. But when when I'm sitting in the car and he's driving, we always get into a fight.
Yeah. You need to just say, I would tell him how it makes you feel. This makes me feel afraid. I feel very, very nervous. Out of respect for me, will you please not have me sitting here upset and nervous and afraid, okay? Will you please take care of me in that way? Like, respect me. I'm scared, I'm scared is a lot different than stop driving fast.
I'm scared for his life and I'm not there.
Yeah, well, you can't do anything about that. I wish there was some trick that I could tell you, but there's not. He's going to do whatever he's going to do with his life. If I give you a brand new Mercedes-Benz and you drive it into a ditch, where's the problem?
I am.
If you give him a life and a car and the best guidance you could possibly give him and money and insurance and give him the car keys and he goes out and drives fast and gets in a wreck or gets car tickets or gets traffic tickets or whatever, where's the problem? Not with you, with him. Right? He's going to have to deal with it. There's a certain amount of letting go. Like, you can't do anything about certain things. Fight the battles that you can fight, but the ones that you probably aren't going to win.
Resign.
Huh? Don't resign. Just accept that with life comes certain risks. You give an 18-year-old boy a car, he's probably going to drive it fast when nobody's around. All you can do is try to tell him, show him, train him, tell him, but in the end, he's going to do what he's going to do when you're not there. There's no sense in feeling resigned about it. It's just take a big deep breath and I was kind of half joking when you said, what can I do about that? I said, pray, because that's about what you could do about it. Pray and send him protective energy and hope that he grows out of that without wrecking himself. Mm-hmm. I know guys that are in their 50s and 60s and they still drive like an 18-year-old and somehow they've managed to live that long.
Probably know what they're doing and we don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, but they started driving when they were 16 and they're still driving like that. So I have one of my best friends. Every time I get in the car with him, I'm like, okay, here we go.
But as you mature, your driving goes slower and slower. I mean, I am like a turtle. I'll drive like a turtle.
Right.
Very slow.
Just ask him to please don't scare the heck out of you when you're in the car with him. That's all you can ask him to do. And then, when he's by himself, he's going to drive however he drives, and you can tell him as many times as you want, don't drive fast, but it's just going to be like noise to him.
Yeah.
It's just noise in the background to him.
So
Mom said don't drive fast, right? It's just more, it's not going to change anything.
I've been proven.
Well, it's my life's evidence of it. I'm a guy, and I grew up driving fast, and every kid that I've ever known has there's a few who astonishingly drive in a very disciplined manner, but it's kind of unusual.
I appreciate your help.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your call.
You have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, I got time for one more call, maybe. I've got 2 calls here. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
Hi, Gregory. This is Behruz.
Hello, Behruz.
I have a question.
Okay.
How do we make our kids sociable, especially when we are in the Iranian community? They're kind of quiet and they don't quite, and they are actually 18 and 19. With their friends, American friends, they're pretty good, but when we go to the Iranian community, they're kind of shy. And how do we get them involved in there? I'll hang up and let you talk. Thank you.
All right. I don't know. My experience of, when you say in the Iranian community, I'm assuming that you're talking about going to weddings or social events where everybody there is Iranian and is maybe mostly people speaking Farsi and listening to Iranian music and eating Iranian food and talking about mostly family things or something like that. So I'm assuming a lot in your question, and I hope that I'm on track with that, but that's what I hear. It may be that they just don't quite feel like they have anything to say, or they feel uncomfortable in that environment. They also may feel like that they're being judged or observed by a set of traditional standards that they may feel don't apply to them. It's one of the dichotomies of having a beautiful, ancient, traditional culture that has certain traditions and values, and then raising your children that are really cross-cultural because they're raised in a Western culture that has probably not enough values, not enough morals and ethics and things, and then one that maybe they may occur for them as being too much, too judgmental, too sedate, if you will. And so they may not feel that there's enough room for them to truly express themselves and just be who they are. And whereas in their American culture, as you said, they feel more freedom and sense of like, hey, I'm okay how I am, I'm accepted how I am. In terms of getting them more involved with a community that they feel maybe suppressed by. And listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel a little suppressed inside of that community sometimes. Okay, we'll go to weddings, we'll go to different events where it's all Iranians, and because I'm with my Iranian wife and I'm the only American there, often I feel a little suppressed, like, I don't really know what to talk about or what to say. I'm a friendly guy and I'm pretty outgoing, but I'll find myself sort of standing alone and looking around like, what am I doing here? You know, what's going on that I can participate in or be a part of. So it may not be the fault of the young men. You say they're around 18, 19 years old. They may just be looking at the clock like, when do I get to go hang out with my friends? And maybe they just don't feel a part of that community. And as much as you may want them to, as a father, to feel a part of that community, the best that I would think that you could do is find events on things where they can feel like they're more fully expressed. I hope that helps. Maybe they just don't feel quite at home there. So that's the best I can say. And I would attempt to, maybe with the other men in your group or in your family, take them out just as guys so that you could do guy things together. Maybe they'll open up and feel a little more at home. There's a real funny, energetic thing that happens between guys and girls in the Iranian community at those kind of public events where they don't really know how to talk to each other sometimes. And I can understand how they could feel a little suppressed. And so maybe you need to take them to some events where they feel like they can just sort of be themselves and listen to the kind of music, and also ask them, what kind of music do you like? What kind of things do you like to do? If you and I could go and do anything together, what would you like to do? So really ask them, what is it that they enjoy? And then see if you can participate in their lives, and then maybe they will be a little more interested in your life. I remember there was a huge turning point in my life with my father when I was growing up. I grew up listening to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all of this music, okay? And I loved it. And I wanted my dad to like it, but he said, shut that stuff off. It was like noise to him. And then my father listened to country and Western music, which I had grown up listening in the Midwest. And I thought, God, that stuff is hokey. Turn that off. And where we came together is one time he said, what is it that you like about this? And it opened my whole heart. I listen to the words to this song, Dad. Listen to this guitar here. Listen to what they're saying. And he got into it. He actually got into my music. That there was a way of us communicating together. I said, well, what do you like about that hokey country or Western music? He said, well, listen to the story they're telling. Listen to the thing. And listen to the instruments and the things that so he kind of broke it down so that I could understand what he liked about it. And there was a cross-cultural understanding between my father and I, in which we learned to love each other's music. And from then on, we were like best friends and hung out together. And I love country and Western music now. And he actually ended up liking the Beatles and rock and roll and stuff. So maybe there's something to do in that area where you could get more involved in. So I'm out of time. That's the end of my show. Thank you very much for watching my show. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I will see you back here next week at Love Talk.
تجربه من از کارگاه‌های خارق‌العاده این بوده که شور و شوق زندگی کردن به جای زنده‌مانی در من مجدداً تازه شد و همین شور و شوق باعث تشویقم شد که بتونم هدفمندتر خواسته ها و آرزوهام رو جامعه عمل بپوشونم. خواسته هایی که طی این سالها از زندگیم در حد جوونه موندن و امروز میخوام برم دنبالشون و کارهای ناتمامی رو که هیچ وقت تمامشون نکردم رو انجام بدم. امید خلق کردن در من ایجاد شد و ایمان به این که هر اونچه رو که بخوام میتونم خلق بکنم و به این نتیجه رسیدم که حتی در بدترین شرایط و کمترین امکانات میتونم خلق کنم. فقط کافیه این که بخوام و چشماندازی به درون خودم، استعدادهام و توانایی‌هام داشته باشم. به این شناخت رسیدم که نباید استعدادها و توانایی‌هام رو کوچک بشمرم و نادیده بگیرم و از اون روز به بعد سعی